Hi, this is Joe Parolini, and you're listening to Vibe 105.
Vibe Talks. Vibe Talks. More than just music.
Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo Aulino reporting for Vibe 105 with a Sports VIBEtalks segment where I'm happy to be joined by my guest today who's about to share some exciting news. He is the president of the Toronto Blizzard. He's Joe Parolini. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing exciting today and really good. Thank you.
That's great to hear. And Joe, there was a big news literally a couple hours ago, got the press release. You have exciting news to share about a partnership with a European club, a European powerhouse, and the Toronto Blizzard. Can you just share about that?
Yeah, it's almost speechless. And today I have to pinch myself that after 2.5 years of going through a process of finding the correct partner that was willing to actually do a partnership, not an affiliation, not a licensing deal, but actually bringing their own youth development coaches and getting players to endorse. It took a long time, but we passed all the due diligence. We actually got the news before Christmas. And then with Christmas and, being European, January 6th being the epiphany overseas, we didn't really start the next part with the international director until about middle of January. Then they came over, did further on-site testing and due diligence, and signed the deal about just over a month ago. And the rest of it's been all the build up to the launch, media clips, artwork, everything to get ready for this tremendous day for soccer in Ontario and Canada, and especially for Toronto Blizzard and all the players that believed in the process.
And big powerhouse there in Europe, like Bayern Munich coming in now with the Toronto Blizzard. Can you share how long this was in the works for? And I guess how was this contact made between yourself and Bayern Munich?
Yeah, I mean, the initial idea was about 9 years ago, where I just was meeting with some friends in New York, New Jersey, while we're doing our scholarship tours when we play the NCAA universities every year. We go down, play 30, 40 schools. Met a friend of mine in New York. We discussed, and he goes, yeah, I wish we could do something like that here, but you need even bigger. You need a powerhouse. So the two of us, we started talking to teams, and it just went quiet. Then about 2.5 years ago, we started, just before COVID, started getting 10, 12 teams, major clubs that were interested, but it was easy to eliminate a lot of them because they only wanted affiliations or licensing deals like a lot of them are here. I had no interest whatsoever in those. And the gentleman in New York, New Jersey area is a very good friend of mine, Franz, Jean-Louis, and between the two of us, I put together a presentation of about 116 pages from everything from player development, facilities, our vision, our dream, what we do. And like I said, in January, we got put to the international director. They flew over, did everything, and we signed the deal. It's just, I've got no words.
That's amazing to hear. And especially when you hear sometimes deals fall through, especially during the pandemic, it was a horrible time. Everything got put on hold. So were you skeptical a little bit? Maybe this is going to fall through, unfortunately, or was there always some dialogue between the two that eventually this thing would happen?
No, actually, to be honest, I think the pandemic helped me. Because on our side, we weren't going to the States to play the universities. Our whole program is player development and going to the States and playing the NCAA Division I, II schools. And we just didn't have that, right? As you know, we were in lockdown. So I think the negotiation, the major pamphlet, it's not even a pamphlet, it's a book we put together, actually gave us more time and more dialogue opportunities than as opposed to traveling all the time. And when Byron gave us the positive that we passed the due diligence, I mean, one of the top clubs, as you know, in player development, the other one are the Dutch, who actually develop players, and to have them come over, bring all their coaches, we have to follow the Byron model. So that's going to be great. As good as my coaching staff is, like Lorenzo, who's the national team futsal coach for Canada. We've got John that went to Harvard. We've got some great coaches. We're all, myself being on the men and women's national team, we're all going to start at the level 1 and learn the Byron methodology and follow their lead, not only on the field, but we're going to be doing weekly Zoom calls to understand the philosophy and learn. And as we move up, we get to enjoy and understand a different methodology, but also go do coaching seminars, clinics over in Germany with them, and also bring players.
And how would you best describe what Bayern Munich's coaching philosophy is, and how does yours maybe differ, or how's it similar to that?
Well, it's interesting. Again, our whole program was geared to U.S. schools, not because the Canadian schools aren't any good. The Canadian schools are amazing, but the cost of education, as you know, in Canada, for after-tax dollars, can vary from, if you live at home, for $8,000 to $12,000 to, and if you're away from home, $18,000 to $30,000. Whereas what we do, the major thing and success that we have is, out of the last 9 years, we're number 1 in Canada. I've given out over 120 scholarships, mainly full rides, where the players don't pay. So, parents, single families, lower income, amazing, right? So, but that type of game is a faster, quicker, all press game versus a more technical game that Byron develops, as you've seen, and the success speaks for itself. So the international director, Lars, said to us, there's not a lot of difference, but the methodology of warm-up and everything is slightly different, and we're going to learn it. We're coming in with open eyes, and we can't wait to start learning the new methodology and, just start taking it all in and helping all these kids with the first couple camps we do in July.
Yeah, that's you mentioned there July, and you got a couple camps coming up there, Maple, Brampton. From your time, even as a coach, like even when you were starting as a coach, what programs would maybe draw your attention, and what were some of the players doing and maybe their characteristics on the field that would draw you towards maybe recruiting them to your program?
Oh, well, I came to Canada in '64 and started playing soccer at 11, and it was a different time. When I started playing, I played right away for the pro team Toronto City, which was the predecessor to Toronto Blizzard, Metros Croatia. The only people that played on our club, and all the clubs that were in Ontario at that time, were ex-pros from Italy, England, Yugoslavia at the time, South America. They came here for jobs, but in return, you had to play for your, whatever club you were affiliated with. So I usually played up 3-4 years. My mentor was the leading striker, Mike Burke, who played for the national team. Dave Jones, who became the assistant on Metro Croatia, brought me up to Metro Croatia. These are people that came from a professional rank. It's just starting over here. So I think it's different. I think what we look for, not only in the Toronto Blizzard, but now with Byron Byron partnership, is kids that want to work hard, be humble, learn, and don't think you know it all, because there's always more than one way to play the game. And Byron has shown that they know how to develop players. So now we have a pathway not only to scholarships, but we have a pathway for you to play professionally in Byron, both men and women.
It's great to hear. For those just joining us here on Vibe 105, this is Sports VIBEtalks segment, being joined by Joe Parolini of the Toronto Blizzard. And Joe, just even talking about that, like the Toronto Blizzard, NASL, like just going back, I was going on YouTube and looking at some past games there, and you see Varsity Stadium, Exhibition Stadium also packed all the time. And now with the CPL coming up, like there are some teams that have done better than others, but do you think that community support has been lost in this generation? I'm not sure if it's been lost. I think there was a lull. I think the problem has been lately that the caliber and the number of, whether it's clubs, academies, have been watered down. The leagues are watered down. So I think and everybody talks development, but
I think at the end of the day, clubs and academies survive by winning. If they win, they attract. If they don't win, they don't attract. So player development is really a word that's used loosely. And we're glad that now we're partnering with Bayern Munich, because now you've got a true player development model with professional ranks. And those that aren't fortunate enough to make the professional men and women will still have the scholarship program to rely on.
And what were some of your experiences in the NASL days? Because like packed stadiums, varsity stadium, like any memories, like what were some of your favorite games to play in or matchups?
Well, I think, back in those days, I think people were still a little more ethnic oriented. Varsity, I was at the crossroads when I took over the Blizzard at the Canadian Soccer League. The averages back then, looking at the stats of NASL, CSL, were about 11 to 12,000. So, you had packed stadiums. I was fortunate enough to host a lot of international games. One of my biggest coups was signing Edinho, the captain of Brazil, to play for me at the Toronto Blizzard. That was like, a big thing back then, right? Coming out of that, because he played in Udinese in Italy, he was captain. Those types of memories stick with you. Bringing AC Milan over, Benfica, Flamengo, Inter Milan. A lot of those clubs that we brought over were just, those were players. And I hope now with the men qualifying for the World Cup, gives us a boost. The women winning the gold is going to give a new generation something. And, we hopefully become a big spoke in the wheel for player development, both on the men and women with professional coaches.
And also, like, obviously, like every player that you develop, there's a special story and just a special relationship you have with all your players. But like going back to even your time as a player or even developing a player, is there one that really catches your eye where you look back on it now and thinking like, wow, this player was at a young age, had it all, had the it factor to go on to bigger, better things?
Yeah, you always see those players, and I have in the last 8-9 years, I've had 6 players from the Blizzard make the Canadian under 17 and 20. We've put about 7 players on the Jamaican national team, about 4 on the Guyanese national team, 1 on Croatia, 1 on Serbia. But to me, what hits home the most is a player that came over from a B team. I don't want to mention the club name because I don't want to disrespect anybody. She was on a B team. The parents thought she would only work at McDonald's. After a couple of years, we got her a scholarship to Division I. She didn't qualify, so we put her in a junior college, got her grades up, and now she's playing Division I. Those are the stories that you give a kid an education, and that really hits the heart. Yes, there's all those players that have the talent, and Alfonso Davies naturally from Canada playing at Bayern Munich. But to me, also, it's the kid that you give the opportunity that would never, ever have an opportunity just to get an education. Now they have a process to possibly get a professional contract.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And also, like before we were talking, mentioned like Carmen Asako, and because he always talks about stories of like players like Mark Anthony Kaye, like Ryan Telfer that came in and they were on the reserve side. They worked their way up and then they had professional careers. So how important is it to have these university leagues, these developmental academies, and a pathway to being a professional in Canada, as opposed to maybe like 15 years ago when there was no NASL anymore, no CSL. There was just a pathway. If you're good enough, hopefully you can make the MLS.
I think the pathways are always important to bring kids to the sport. But at the end of the day, I think the majority of the players that are on the Canadian World Cup team right now that are qualifying are all playing in big leagues overseas. That is no different than the 86 World Cup team that I trained. Everybody played in the North American Soccer League. And Tony Waiters was by far the best coach I've ever worked with. God bless his soul. He was amazing. He was a phenomenal psychologist because these guys are pros. You have to know how to do all the psychology side of it, tweak it. He was great. And I think those players are there now. I think we need more Bayern Munichs to help develop players to the next level. That's what it's really going to take to get us to the high level, so our players don't have to go all the time overseas. But if you go overseas, as you know, and you get your citizenship, it's a lot easier and the money's a lot bigger than it is there. But definitely the local leagues are important. In our press release, you'll see we're going to now go back to the old days. We're going to try to get a CPL team as part of our vision with Byron, and also for the females an NWSL team.
And I guess I want to, if you can't talk about it, but is there any discussions further along than after this announcement, you hope, or is it still like you're trying to identify the perfect town or city to host it in?
No, I think right now it's about, let's have the camp. Let's get it full. Come see what Byron methodology is all about. Experience with it. It's even though I've been part of it, to see today all the players like Alfonso and Sani on the video, it just it's goosebumps. And there are no other affiliation or licensing has that we just put out in this deal, and it's exciting. And every kid should be just joyous to come to the camp and try to enjoy a different methodology from one of the top clubs in the world, both men and female. They both made Champions League. This is an opportunity for equal opportunity. That's
great. And also, before we wrap up here and let you go, how can our listeners and viewers find out more information of Bayern Munich, Toronto Blizzard, you yourself? Are you on social media? Floor's yours to promote it.
Yeah, we have. I've actually finally handed the reins over to Alf de Blasis. So at my age, I get lucky if I turn on the phone. But yes, so the Blizzard have their own Instagram, Twitter, Facebook account. Byron, if you go to FC Byron, all the registration is on their website, which is amazing. So people that don't doubt it, just go to the Byron website and there's the Toronto Blizzard link for the registration. There's no BSing. This is real. You can go to the Toronto Blizzard website, but we have pamphlets. We've got everything with barcodes. It'll take you straight to the registration. And, I can't wait. The rest of it will come in due time. I expect that we're going to be getting a lot of calls from possibly cities that would like to possibly join and do something with us, right?
That's great. Highly recommend that follow. And this is great. So congratulations once again on this. And I wish you all the best with this Toronto Blizzard and Bayern Munich partnership.
Thank you. And if you need anything, Alf, you can contact him and he'll give you a lot more information than I will on a regular basis to help the media's job easier.
That's great. That's Joe Parolini of the Toronto Blizzard. Stick around because we got plenty more programming right here on Vibe 105.
And now back to your Vibe 105.